Hello friends. Let's talk about a personality so intense, so magnetic, that even when they're standing still, the room feels like it's moving around them. Born under the fiery sun of Leo and forged in the lunar cycle of the Chinese tiger, these people are walking storms of ambition, passion, and unpredictability. They don't just enter a room, they own it. These are the Leo tigers, kings of the zodiac jungle and the wildest of Chinese astrology's creatures. Sounds dramatic? Wait till you meet one. But who are they, really? What drives them? What threatens to unravel them? And can anyone truly match their energy in love, friendship, or business? Let's peel back the layers of the majestic and mysterious Leo tiger. Love, when fire meets obsession. A Leo tiger in love doesn't approach romance the way most do, they hunt it. From the moment they feel the first flicker of attraction, their entire energy shifts. Their eyes light up with intent, their voice becomes more magnetic, and their body language says, "I've chosen you." There's nothing passive about it. Love, for a Leo tiger, is not something that happens, it's something they make happen. They create it, shape it, dramatize it, and throw themselves into it like a hero charging into battle. It's not uncommon for them to go from strangers to soulmates in a matter of days, because when they know, they know. Or at least, they think they do. Their version of passion is not warm or cozy. It's wild, unrelenting, and unapologetically intense. The Leo tiger's love language is grand gestures, flying across the country to surprise you, writing a song about your eyes, or texting you 37 times a day just because they thought of your laugh. They love visibly. Subtlety? Please. This is someone who wants the whole world to know they've fallen for you. They thrive on creating a connection that feels like fireworks, not flickers. But beware. If you mistake their intensity for obsession or try to control the pace, they may turn cold fast. You either match their flame or get burned. Affection, for the Leo tiger, is an art form, and they are Picasso with a paintbrush soaked in pure fire. They'll touch, kiss, and compliment you in ways that make even the most confident person blush. Physical closeness is vital, but so is emotional connection. They want to know your dreams, your traumas, your childhood stories, your deepest fears, all of it. They want full access, full immersion. Half love doesn't interest them. If they're not all in, they're all out. And yet, hidden behind their confident swagger and loud declarations of love is a deep craving to be seen. Really seen. Leo tigers put on a show, yes, but the show is their way of testing you. Will you applaud and leave like the rest? Or will you stay when the lights go down and the mask slips? Because under the drama, there's a softness, a vulnerability. And only the truly worthy get to see it. That's when their loyalty becomes fierce. That's when love becomes unshakable. What surprises many is how deeply committed a Leo tiger can be once their trust is earned. Their initial whirlwind might seem superficial, but underneath it is a longing for forever. They don't fall for just anyone, they fall for the one. And once they do, they're protective, attentive, and emotionally invested. Their commitment isn't casual, it's epic. They want a love story worth telling, and they will fight for it with teeth bared. But only if you prove you're in it just as deeply. Jealousy can be a challenge for the Leo tiger. Their desire to be adored doesn't switch off when they're in a relationship. They still want to be flirted with, still want your eyes on them across the room, still want to feel like the most desirable person in your world. If they sense your attention drifting, or worse, if someone else tries to steal your affection, they don't just feel hurt. They feel betrayed. And betrayal isn't just a crack in the armor, it's a declaration of war. They won't yell, they'll roar. Their ideal partner is not passive. They don't want someone who follows. They want someone who walks beside them, who calls them out when necessary, who challenges them without shrinking. Strength respects strength. Leo tigers are attracted to power, not in the corporate sense, but in the soul. If you have confidence, emotional depth, and a touch of mystery, you've got their attention. If you're also kind, fiercely loyal, and willing to go through hell and back for love, you've got their heart. Winning a Leo tiger's love is not about playing hard to get, it's about playing real. Complement their drive. Recognize their passion, laugh at their outrageous jokes, admire their bold ideas, and for heaven's sake, don't ever make them feel invisible. Ignoring them is emotional murder. But if you make them feel seen, if you mirror back the beauty they so desperately hope the world notices, they'll light up in ways you've never seen. Because more than anything, the Leo tiger wants a partner who sees their fire and doesn't run, someone who sees the chaos, the ambition, the heat, and chooses them anyway. Marriage, a throne for two. For the Leo tiger, marriage isn't a quiet agreement or a peaceful coexistence, it's a grand alliance. It's the moment where love becomes legacy. They don't see marriage as simply a next step or a social obligation. They see it as the creation of a powerful, intimate empire where two forces merge, not to soften each other, but to elevate each other. A Leo tiger doesn't just want a partner to grow old with, they want someone to build kingdoms with. To them, marriage must be meaningful, dynamic, and filled with mutual purpose, not just passion. They absolutely refuse to settle for a bland domestic routine. The Leo tiger lives in color, not grayscale, and they expect their home life to reflect that. This means that cookie-cutter routines and emotionless rituals drain their spirit. They'll try, for a time, to play the part of the conventional spouse, but if every day starts to look the same, the fire in their eyes dims. They need surprises, ambition, shared dreams, and emotional adventure. If they feel caged or ignored, they'll either detach quietly or create conflict just to feel something again. Drama, to them, is better than dead air. Loyalty is the quiet steel beneath their dramatic flair. Once they've chosen their partner, truly chosen, they become fiercely protective and deeply loyal. The Leo tiger is not someone who leaves at the first sign of trouble. They fight, for the relationship, for the family, for the promise they made. Beneath the fire and flair lies a surprisingly traditional heart when it comes to loyalty. But here's the catch: their loyalty is not unconditional. It is deeply tied to respect. The moment they feel disrespected, underestimated, or emotionally neglected, their love turns guarded. Not gone, but heavily armored. The Leo tiger thrives in marriage when they feel equally challenged and inspired. They need a spouse who is both grounded and visionary, someone who balances their intensity with emotional intelligence. A calming energy isn't enough. They don't want to be tamed, they want to be seen, understood, and supported in their wildest pursuits. They need a partner who can look them in the eye and say, "Let's go bigger." That kind of encouragement fuels them. That kind of belief in their potential? It's intoxicating. In return, they'll offer a loyalty and love so intense, it becomes the stuff of legends. They absolutely adore the idea of a power couple. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be married to someone who treats life like a joint conquest, that's the Leo tiger. They love the image of being part of a duo that commands attention, respect, and maybe even a little envy. Whether they're building a business, raising a family, or taking on the world together, they need to feel like you're not just their lover, you're their teammate in greatness. The title, husband, or wife, means nothing to them unless it's backed by action, strength, and a shared sense of purpose. Emotional depth is crucial. A Leo tiger might seem confident and self-sufficient on the surface, but in marriage, they want to be emotionally safe. They want a partner who listens, who understands the moods behind the roars, who knows when to push and when to comfort. They may hide their vulnerabilities behind pride or performance, but make no mistake, they need a partner who can read between the lines. Someone who sees the pain behind the anger, the fear behind the pride. And when they find that kind of emotional mirror, they soften in ways the world rarely gets to see. Fighting isn't a red flag in their relationship, it's part of the rhythm. Leo tigers don't fear confrontation. In fact, they often welcome it. But it's not about chaos or control. It's about honesty. They believe in clearing the air, loudly, if necessary, because to them, conflict is better than silence. And what follows the storm? The makeup, the reconnecting, the raw passion that only two people who have truly seen each other can share. Their marriage may be stormy at times, but it is never empty. There is always heat, always movement, always meaning. Ultimately, The Leo tiger's vision of marriage is built on intensity, ambition, and mutual growth. They don't just want to be loved, they want to be chosen every single day. They want to wake up beside someone who sees their fire and says, "Let's go conquer something today." Their ideal marriage isn't perfect, it's powerful. Two flawed humans building something immortal. That's what excites them. That's what keeps them faithful, inspired, and passionately invested. A Leo tiger doesn't just want a marriage. They want a throne for two, and a love that rules without apology. Sex, the art of animal instinct. Let's not sugarcoat it. Leo tigers radiate raw sexual energy the moment they enter a room. It's not just how they move, speak, or look at you. It's something deeper, something primal that hums beneath the surface. You don't meet a Leo tiger, you feel them. They exude an almost magnetic intensity, and once they lock their gaze on someone, that person either melts under the pressure or becomes irresistibly drawn in. Their sexuality isn't about conquest, it's about connection through power. They want to take you somewhere you've never been before, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. To say they're passionate in bed would be an understatement. For the Leo tiger, sex is an orchestration of senses, a performance, yes, but not one rooted in ego. They're not trying to impress you with technique alone. They're building an experience, a memory, a private myth. The music matters, the lighting matters, the setting must feel just right. They think about touch like a sculptor thinks about stone, deliberately, artfully, with purpose. Every kiss is intentional, every breath is part of the rhythm. They want the sex to be cinematic, a scene worth remembering. Dominance comes naturally to them, but it's not aggression for its own sake. It's confidence paired with an intuitive awareness of their partner's body and mind. They read cues effortlessly, a shift in breath, a tightening of fingers, a sudden silence. They want to lead, but they lead with sensitivity. If they sense that you need to feel safe, they'll slow down. If they sense you want to be pushed further, they'll challenge you. The bedroom, for them, is not about control. It's about flow, and making sure the rhythm stays alive between both bodies. Mutual pleasure is their ultimate high. They feed off feedback, not just moans or movement, but real emotional reactions. A Leo tiger in bed listens, maybe not with their ears, but with their instincts. If you show that you're fully present, if you let go and give yourself to the moment, they amplify everything. The more alive you become under their touch, the more electric they get. And if they feel unappreciated or ignored, their fire dims. They're not mechanical lovers. They need the emotional current running between you or they lose interest. That's what keeps their performances from being hollow. It's not about sex, it's about shared intensity. Despite their fiery confidence, their sexuality isn't performative for its own sake. It's an act of emotional expression. They use their bodies to say things they can't say with words, to show trust, to offer comfort, to explore vulnerability. That dominant energy, it often hides a softer need, to be accepted, to be known, to be understood. For them, being naked isn't just physical, it's symbolic. They crave a partner who sees past the bravado, who responds not just to their touch but to their truth. And when they find that person, the intimacy reaches an almost spiritual level. Leo tigers are natural explorers. They're curious, open-minded, and often crave variety, but not out of boredom or detachment. To them, trying new things isn't about collecting experiences. It's about deepening the bond. Roleplay, travel sex, whispered fantasies, it all serves a deeper purpose, to keep the connection alive and evolving. But what's surprising to many is that once emotionally committed, they're often intensely monogamous. Their hunger isn't for novelty alone, it's for depth. They'll explore every corner of your desires before ever looking elsewhere. They may flirt like pros, charming, witty, sometimes scandalous, but that doesn't make them reckless. Leo tigers are selective in ways most people don't realize. They may enjoy attention, bask in admiration, and lean into their sensual presence, but when it comes to actual intimacy, they're incredibly intentional. You can't just look good or be confident, you have to match them energetically. You have to spark something primal and soulful. They don't sleep with just anyone, they connect with people who stir something deep, something worth igniting. So, yes, they're bold, passionate, unforgettable lovers. But they're also emotional alchemists. They transform physical connection into something almost mythic, a story only two bodies can tell. Sex, for them, is sacred. It's not just about pleasure, but presence. They want to feel consumed, and they want to consume you, not just with their hands, but with their full being. And if you can match their fire, if you can meet them in that place where instinct meets emotion, they'll give you a kind of intimacy that's not just rare, it's once in a lifetime. Friendship, the alpha in the pack. You don't just meet a Leo tiger, you experience them. Their presence hits you like heat from the sun. It's vibrant, impossible to ignore, and immediately felt in the air around them. They don't tiptoe into your life. They blast through the door and rearrange the emotional furniture. They bring energy into the room, not just noise, but a sense of momentum. Things happen around them, and when they choose you as a friend, it feels like being handpicked by royalty and a rebel all in one. They don't hand out friendship lightly, but once you're in, you're not just a buddy, you're part of their personal inner circle of power. Their leadership within social groups isn't always intentional, it's just who they are. Leo tigers naturally rise to the top of any pack. They're the ones texting everyone to meet up, calling out awkward silences, cracking jokes when the energy dips, or orchestrating a spontaneous getaway just because life's too short for boring weekends. Their social stamina is impressive, and their ability to make everyone feel like something epic is about to happen, even if it's just a Tuesday night, is their superpower. Their charisma is less about attention seeking and more about gathering people into a shared sense of excitement and loyalty. But for all their outward warmth and generosity, Leo tigers are not emotional vending machines. They give a lot, emotionally, energetically, even materially, and they expect the same in return. They remember the birthdays, show up at the hospital, call at 2 a.m. when you're heartbroken, and if you go missing when they need someone? That wound cuts deep. Loyalty isn't a vague concept to them, it's a code. And if you violate it, even once, they might forgive you, but they'll never forget. Their loyalty is legendary, but it's also conditional on mutual effort. One-sided friendships don't survive in their kingdom. Their protective nature kicks in fast and strong. Threaten someone they love, they'll become your worst nightmare. Talk down to their friend in public, you'll get a smile, and then an icy distance that will haunt you. Leo tigers are the ones who speak up when others stay quiet. They'll defend you before you even realize you needed defending. And not just from enemies, sometimes from yourself. If you're spiraling, they'll pull you back. If you're doubting yourself, they'll remind you exactly who you are. They won't sugarcoat, but they'll fight like hell to keep your light on. Friendship with a Leo tiger is fun, like actually fun. They bring laughter, drama, jokes that go a little too far, and an endless hunger for shared experiences. Whether it's a karaoke night or a spontaneous midnight swim, they inject life with boldness. But there's always an edge of competition. Not jealousy, challenge. If you land a big promotion, they'll throw you a party, and then set a new goal for themselves the next morning. They love seeing their friends win, but they also want to feel like they're rising with you. That mutual growth, that's what keeps them engaged. They're allergic to small talk and fake smiles. A Leo tiger might mingle at a party, but you'll notice they gravitate toward real energy. They don't care how many people know your name, they care if you mean what you say. Surface-level friendships drain them. If you ask how they are, they'll tell you, honestly. And they expect the same back. That's why their circles are often smaller than people assume. They could be the most popular person in the room, but they're only emotionally connected to a few. Because for them, depth matters more than applause. And once you're part of their chosen few, the bond is cemented. Not with words, but with actions. They'll remember your coffee order, your big fears, your secret dreams. They'll check in just to make sure you're still dreaming big. And no matter how much time passes, the bond doesn't fade. Your family, they'll fly across the country for your wedding. They'll cancel meetings to be there when your world collapses. They won't always say, "I love you," but they'll prove it. Over and over again. Their love, once earned, is fierce, loud, and forever. To be friends with a Leo tiger is to sign up for intensity, honesty, challenge, and ride-or-die loyalty. They'll push you, protect you, laugh with you, and sometimes clash with you, but they'll never abandon you without cause. In their eyes, true friendship is sacred. Not casual, not occasional, but soul-level alliance. And once they trust you enough to call you their pack, you don't just have a friend. You have an alpha who would burn down a forest to keep you warm. Business, built to lead, not to follow. Leo tigers don't just aim to succeed in business, they aim to dominate. From the very beginning, they see their professional life not as a ladder to climb but as a kingdom to claim. They enter any business environment with a sense of personal destiny, like they were born to lead something greater than themselves. There's a sense of inevitability to the way they carry themselves, like they already see their name on the building. Their mindset isn't driven by paycheck or praise, it's driven by legacy. They want to create something that outlasts trends, competition, and even their own lifetime. Their entrepreneurial energy is fierce and undeniable. Leo tigers don't wait for permission to act, they initiate. They generate ideas faster than most people can process and follow through with an intensity that makes them nearly impossible to compete with. They don't see barriers as problems, they see them as puzzles to solve, or walls to tear down. They're the ones starting side businesses out of dorm rooms, pitching bold new ideas to silent boardrooms, or quitting six-figure jobs because they believe they can build something bigger. They are, by nature, vision-driven disruptors. In leadership roles, they thrive like predators in their natural habitat. The more responsibility they carry, the more alive they become. They hate being micromanaged, not because they're difficult, but because their instincts are fast, intuitive, and often correct. They work best when they have autonomy, space to innovate, and room to inspire others. As bosses, they can be magnetic, equal parts motivator, strategist, and showman. But don't mistake their charm for softness. They lead with high standards and a relentless drive. You either keep up with them, or you get replaced. Routine is the silent killer for Leo tigers. Repetition, stagnation, or slow-moving structures will drain their spirit and dull their creative fire. They are allergic to corporate bureaucracy and soul-crushing desk jobs where every day looks like the last. They're built for bold moves, quick pivots, and high-stakes decisions. If placed in the wrong environment, they'll either rebel quietly by checking out, or loudly by shaking things up. For them, a job without impact and movement is not worth waking up for. Their communication skills in business are elite. They can pitch, persuade, negotiate, and rally a team with near-hypnotic confidence. They speak in full-color ideas, not bullet points. Their passion sells their vision before the numbers do. People follow them not because they're told to, but because they want to. This persuasive power, when paired with their natural charisma, makes them ideal public speakers, brand founders, and CEOs. They don't just get people on board, they get people fired up. It's not manipulation, it's conviction, and it's contagious. What sets Leo tigers apart is how they handle setbacks. Failure doesn't shake them, it ignites them. They're not afraid to take big risks, and if those risks collapse, they don't crumble. They regroup, re-strategize, and come back louder, stronger, smarter. Their resilience is partly ego. They refuse to be seen as anything less than triumphant, but mostly it's internal fire. They simply don't accept defeat as final. To them, failure is part of the blueprint to greatness. Every loss is just more fuel for the empire they're building. Their business flaws are real, but so are the opportunities hidden within them. Impatience, for example, can lead to impulsive decisions, skipped details, or poorly timed launches. But it also means they're action-oriented and refuse to stay stuck in analysis paralysis. Overconfidence might blind them to criticism or risk, but it's also the source of their visionary courage. And yes, they sometimes bulldoze other people's ideas in meetings or steamroll collaboration in favor of their own plan, but that's not arrogance. It's tunnel vision for the goal. With self-awareness, these traits don't become weaknesses, they become weapons. Silencing a Leo tiger in business is nearly impossible. If you try to box them in, they'll break the box. If you deny them space, they'll create their own arena. They don't just want a seat at the table. They want to redesign the table, own the table, name the company that makes the table, and film the documentary about the table's success. Give them a platform, and they'll build a brand. Take it away, and they'll build a better one from scratch, with more fire, more flair, and more followers. The only thing more dangerous than underestimating a Leo tiger is trying to control one. In the end, Leo tigers don't just participate in business, they redefine it. They live for the game, hunger for the win, and refuse to play small. Their ambition is relentless, their ideas are bold, and their energy is infectious. They weren't born to follow instructions, they were born to write the rulebook. And when they do, the rest of the world can either get in line, or get left behind. Dark side, the shadow behind the flame. For all their light, Leo tigers cast some of the deepest shadows. Their charisma, confidence, and larger-than-life presence make them stand out in any room, but behind that fire lies a storm of emotional complexity. They are not dark in the traditional sense. They're not villains, but they do carry a dangerous intensity that, when left unchecked or triggered, can turn into emotional wreckage, both for themselves and for those closest to them. Their dark side isn't about evil. It's about energy turned inward, passion turned volatile, and the very traits that make them powerful turned destructive. At the core of their darkness is pride, a blazing, almost regal pride that can turn into a personal prison. Pride is their engine, their armor, and their Achilles heel. It drives them to succeed, to be admired, to lead. But it also makes them allergic to humility. Being corrected feels like humiliation. Admitting fault feels like failure. They'd rather rewrite history than admit they were wrong. And when someone challenges their ego without care or tact, they don't reflect, they react. Pride makes them magnetic in victory, but unbearable in defeat. It's not just a flaw, it's a battlefield they carry inside them. Their emotional intensity can sometimes work against them in profoundly damaging ways. They don't, sort of, feel things. They feel them in full, with no volume control. Love becomes obsession, anger becomes fury, sadness becomes despair. If they don't learn to regulate this emotional current, it consumes them. When turned inward, it breeds burnout, anxiety, and existential despair. When turned outward, it can morph into emotional manipulation, guilt-tripping, or explosive confrontation. They're not cold, they're too hot. And without emotional balance, they become prisoners to their own fire. Rejection is their silent kryptonite. While they appear fearless and self-assured, Leo tigers carry a fragile underlayer, one that constantly needs affirmation. They want to be seen, valued, loved, not just privately, but publicly. If someone withdraws affection, dismisses their efforts, or makes them feel invisible, they internalize it deeply. They may pretend it doesn't hurt, throw on a brave face, laugh louder, but inside, they're devastated. Their sense of self is so closely tied to their ability to impress, lead, or inspire that rejection feels like erasure. When they're wounded, they don't cry quietly in the dark. They strike, emotionally, verbally, or with complete silence, whichever method they know will cut deepest. Some vanish with theatrical exits. Others unleash sharp-tongued monologues that feel more like battlefield declarations than personal arguments. Their pain rarely looks like weakness, it looks like war. And that's part of their tragedy. Vulnerability feels too exposed, too unguarded. So instead of saying, "You hurt me," they say, "You'll regret it." That inner softness? It's buried beneath layers of survival instinct. Betrayal is the ultimate trigger. You can disappoint them, even offend them, but if they feel betrayed, it's a point of no return. They won't just walk away. They'll leave a mark, sometimes with silence so cold it freezes your memory of them, sometimes with words so sharp they echo long after they've left. They don't believe in passive exits. When someone they trusted breaks that trust, the Leo tiger doesn't just mourn, they punish. Not out of cruelty, but because that betrayal confirms every hidden fear they carry. That love isn't safe, that loyalty is fragile, that power is the only real protection. Their intensity can make them emotionally volatile in close relationships and work environments. When misdirected, their power becomes manipulation. Not always intentional, but real nonetheless. They know how to charm, how to twist, how to apply just the right amount of pressure to get their way. And if they're not emotionally evolved, they'll use this to control situations, bend people's emotions, or make others feel guilty for simply asserting boundaries. Their desire to be the center can become a black hole, pulling attention toward them at any cost, and leaving others drained. But here's the paradox: the same fire that burns can also purify. When a Leo tiger confronts their shadow, when they truly own their pride, name their pain, and admit to the chaos they've caused, they undergo a transformation that's rare and awe-inspiring. They don't just become wiser, they become unstoppable. Their leadership sharpens, their charisma deepens, and their emotional power shifts from reactive to responsive. They no longer need applause to feel valid. They no longer burn others to feel warm. They become the kind of force that not only builds empires, but also heals hearts. In the end, their darkness doesn't make them dangerous, it makes them real. Because what is a Leo tiger, if not a storm wrapped in sunlight? They are the flame and the shadow, the roar and the silence, the hero and the lesson. And when they learn to live with both sides of themselves, their brilliance becomes legendary, not because it never faltered, but because it survived the dark and rose from it, on fire and unafraid. Life goals: to be legendary. Ask a Leo tiger what they want out of life, and don't expect them to say, stability, or, a nice house in the suburbs. No, that's not their language. What they want is impact, influence, immortality through action. They want to live in a way that makes people talk about them long after they've left the room, or this world. These are not people who settle for existing. They burn to be remembered, to carve their name into history, into hearts, into culture. Every Leo tiger is born with an invisible crown, and their life's goal is to earn it, polish it, and pass it down in legend. They are obsessed with mattering, not in a shallow, look at me way, but in a soul-deep, fire-in-the-belly kind of way. They need to know their presence is felt, that their life carries weight, that their decisions influence something beyond themselves, that their voice echoes in boardrooms, on stages, in memories. Leo tigers can't stomach the idea of being just another face in the crowd. They don't need to be famous, but they need to be impactful. If no one feels moved, changed, inspired, or awakened by their life, then to them, it wasn't worth living. Their hunger for legacy drives almost everything they do. It's not just about what they achieve, but how epically they do it. Leo tigers want to be known not only for their successes but for their spirit, the way they lit up a room, took risks no one else would, fought harder, loved deeper, created louder. To them, legacy isn't a thing you write down. It's the way people feel when they speak your name. They want their grandchildren to say, they didn't just live, they blazed through life like a comet. And every step they take, every career move, every personal decision is filtered through that blazing, visionary lens. They don't chase the spotlight. They own it. In fact, they thrive in it. The Leo tiger doesn't need attention for the sake of ego. They seek it because they genuinely believe they have something to offer the world. And usually, they're right. Their ideas are bold, their presence is electric, and their sense of timing is almost psychic. They know how to show up, how to speak, how to lead. When they walk into a room, energy shifts. When they speak, people lean in. The spotlight doesn't make them, they make the spotlight feel worth watching. They're drawn to careers and life paths that allow them to express their full range: creativity, leadership, compassion, and innovation. You'll find Leo tigers as artists, directors, politicians, CEOs, nonprofit founders, and public figures. But no matter the field, they are driven by vision. They don't do just enough. If they're painting, they want to redefine art. If they're leading, they want to start a movement. If they're helping, they want to build a legacy of service that lives far beyond their years. They crave a purpose that's both personal and planetary. While money is absolutely attractive to them, and they're often great at earning it, wealth is never the ultimate goal. For a Leo tiger, money is a tool, not a trophy. It represents freedom, power, the ability to create on their own terms. They want to use it to fund dreams, build their empires, support causes, and elevate others. But if given the choice between fame and fortune versus making a real, lasting impact, they'll take significance every time. They want their life to mean something. Deeply, visibly, permanently. Ordinary is their nightmare, routine is suffocating, and mediocrity, it's not even on the table. The Leo Tiger wants to inspire. They want people to watch their life like it's a movie and say, that's what bold looks like. That's what living without fear looks like. They lead by example, not just in success, but in resilience. Every time they fall, they rise like it was scripted. Every challenge becomes part of their legend. They don't just overcome, they transform. And in doing so, they give others permission to live bigger, too. And yes, they'll break rules. They'll step on toes. They'll challenge traditions and question authority. Not out of rebellion, but out of purpose. Leo Tigers are builders, not followers. If the path doesn't exist, they'll carve one out of rock with their bare hands. If the system is broken, they'll either rebuild it or burn it down and start over. They are not afraid to be the first, the loudest, the most controversial, because they know that nothing legendary was ever created by playing it safe. To them, life is not a puzzle to solve. It's a stage to conquer. In the end, what Leo Tigers want most is to live a life so full, so fierce, so unforgettable, that their story becomes a source of light for others. Not because they were perfect, but because they were fearless. Because they loved loud, risked boldly, created endlessly, and never once apologized for wanting to change the world. That's their true goal. Not just to succeed, but to be legendary, in every possible sense of the word. So, who is the Leo Tiger? A king without a crown, until they build it. Leo Tigers are not born into power. They earn it, and more importantly, they design it themselves. They don't inherit thrones, they forge them from ambition, charisma, and sheer will. From an early age, they carry the weight of their potential like an invisible cloak. They know they're meant for more, even when the world hasn't caught up yet. They don't demand your respect, they command it through action. Every job, every room, every challenge is seen as a stage where they prove that leadership isn't granted, it's taken. But what sets them apart is that they don't want the crown just to wear it, they want to use it, to build something bigger than themselves. Their reign isn't about ego, it's about impact. A lover without limits, until they trust you. Their love is legendary, but it's not given freely. Leo Tigers love like a wildfire, bright, consuming, and impossible to ignore, but only when they feel safe. Trust is the gatekeeper to their heart. They may flirt, charm, and seduce with ease, but deep emotional intimacy is something sacred to them. Once trust is established, however, their love knows no ceiling. They'll pour themselves into the relationship, offering not just affection but devotion. They'll make you feel seen, chosen, and worshipped. And in return, they demand emotional honesty, loyalty, and a love as big as theirs. You don't just date a Leo Tiger, you become part of their epic love story. A friend for life, if you earn it. Leo Tigers don't keep acquaintances, they keep warriors of the heart by their side. To be their friend is to step into an unspoken contract, mutual respect, fierce loyalty, and emotional presence. They don't do flaky, they don't do shallow, and they certainly don't do fake. But once you've proven you're trustworthy, you'll never be alone again. They'll fight for you, celebrate with you, and check on you even when no one else remembers to. They'll challenge you, inspire you, and occasionally push your buttons, but always with love. Friendship with a Leo Tiger isn't quiet. It's loud, real, and unforgettable. A walking contradiction of intensity and tenderness, chaos and clarity, pride and purpose. They are the storm and the stillness. In one moment, they might be standing on a metaphorical mountaintop, delivering a speech to the world. In the next, they're curled up in silence, wondering if they're truly understood. This duality is not confusion, it's complexity. They are strong yet vulnerable, confident yet riddled with doubt, loud but deeply introspective. They want to be held and also feared. They want to be free and also completely, soulfully committed. Living as a Leo Tiger is a constant act of balancing fire and feeling. And when they get it right, they become a force of nature that can't be contained. Some fear them, others worship them, but no one forgets them. Leo tigers are disruptors, not in the trendy, corporate sense, but in the spiritual, emotional, cosmic sense. They walk into a room and something shifts. You feel them before they speak. Some people are intimidated by their intensity, their standards, their refusal to shrink for the comfort of others. Others are captivated, drawn to their charisma, power, and authenticity. But no one, absolutely no one, forgets them. Whether they've been in your life for a moment or a decade, their imprint lingers like a thunderclap. They are the type of person you'll tell stories about long after they've left the room. Because when a Leo tiger walks into your life, everything changes. They aren't side characters, they're plot twists. If you're close to one, you've likely found yourself doing things you never thought you'd do, taking risks, dreaming bigger, speaking louder. They elevate you, challenge you, and push you to live with more courage. They bring excitement, yes, but also depth. They force you to question yourself, to face your fears, to show up more alive. Life before them felt fine. Life after them feels impossible to forget. They don't just enter your world, they rewrite it. Forever. That's the thing about Leo tigers. They don't dabble in half-hearted anything. Once they've touched your life, even if they move on, they leave behind a piece of themselves, a standard, a memory, a spark. You carry it in the way you hold your head higher, speak your truth louder, or love with more fire. Whether they stay or go, they never really leave. They are not just people, they are legends in the making, flames that continue to flicker in your story even long after the fire has moved on. So, who is the Leo tiger? A ruler in the making. A lover with a galaxy in their heart. A friend with a warrior's soul. A contradiction. A catalyst. A legacy. Someone who doesn't just exist, they redefine existence. And if you're lucky enough to walk beside one, prepare for a journey that will challenge you, change you, and absolutely be worth the fire.